Have you ever had that thought? Are there just too many people on Earth? It's a huge question, right? But it's not a new one. Not at all. In fact, it's at the core of a 200-year-old theory that just refuses to die. A really grim prediction about humanity being on a collision course with the planet's resources. So let's unpack this thing.
Okay, so let's rewind the clock to 1798. An English scholar, Thomas Malthus, lays out this simple but honestly terrifying bit of math. He said, look, human population, if you don't do anything to stop it, grows exponentially. It doubles, then it doubles again. You see it on the left. But our ability to grow food, he was convinced, that only grows arithmetically, just adding a little bit more each time. You don't have to be a math whiz to see where this is going. Those two lines are absolutely destined to cross.
And that right there, that's the central, haunting question that's been echoing for 2 whole centuries. Is this it? Is this our destiny? Are we just doomed to outgrow our planet's kitchen, leading to some kind of massive, catastrophic event? To really get why this idea had such a powerful grip on people, we need to dig into the future Malthus actually saw coming. And spoiler alert, it wasn't pretty.
He actually had a name for this endpoint, the Malthusian catastrophe. It's the breaking point. It's that moment on the graph where the lines finally cross and reality comes to collect, and it collects hard. Malthus wasn't talking about a gentle slowdown here. He was predicting that nature itself would correct our overpopulation through the most brutal ways imaginable. Starvation, wars over what little is left, and rampant disease.
So how would this correction happen? Malthus broke it down into 2 types of forces, or what he called checks. First, you have the positive checks, which, let's be honest, is a very clinical term for absolutely horrific things like famine and war that actively push the death rate up. And then there were preventative checks, things people could do themselves to lower the birth rate. Now, for Malthus, a man of his time, this basically meant moral restraint, like getting married later in life.
So Malthus paints this unbelievably bleak picture of an inevitable disaster. And for a while, it seemed terrifyingly plausible. But then, something amazing happened. The catastrophe just never came. And this is the great plot twist in the story.
Here's the amazing part. For 200 years, on a global scale, Malthus has been wrong. The catastrophe he was so sure about never actually happened. I mean, the world's population exploded far beyond anything he could have ever imagined, from about 1 billion in his day to 8 billion today, and somehow we fed everybody.
Which, of course, brings us to the multi-trillion-dollar question. How on earth did we pull that off? What were the game changers that Malthus, looking out at the world in 1798, just completely failed to see coming? Turns out there were 2 absolutely massive ones.
First, and this is the big one, he wildly underestimated human ingenuity. The Industrial Revolution and later the Green Revolution just completely blew up his math. They turned that slow arithmetic food growth into something that was basically exponential too. We invented tractors, chemical fertilizers, incredible irrigation systems, but it wasn't just about growing more stuff. We got brilliant at keeping it from spoiling with refrigeration and moving it around the globe with massive supply chains. Our brains literally rewrote his equation. The second thing Malthus missed was just as huge, but it wasn't about technology, it was about people. It's something we now call the demographic transition. See, he assumed that when people got richer, they'd have more kids, but what actually happened was the complete opposite. As societies get wealthier and more industrialized, and as education and healthcare get better, birth rates just fall. Naturally. This trend is so powerful that today, in a lot of developed countries, the worry isn't too many people, it's too few. And of course, he could have never predicted modern contraception, which gave people direct control over their family size for the first time in history.
So, Malthus was wrong. Case closed, we can all go home, right? Well, not so fast, because in the last few decades, his big idea has made a huge comeback, but with a brand new look for the modern world.
And this is what we call neo-Malthusianism. The really important update here is that the focus isn't just on food anymore, it's about everything. The argument now is that our sheer numbers, combined with how much stuff we all consume, are draining all of Earth's finite resources. We're talking clean water, fossil fuels, you name it, and pushing the planet's systems, like our climate, to the absolute breaking point.
You can really see how the idea has evolved when you put them side by side. Where the original Malthus worried about empty stomachs, the modern version worries about an exhausted planet. His solution of moral restraint seems kind of quaint now, replaced by a focus on family planning and technology. The whole debate has shifted from a fear of famine to a fear of total ecological collapse.
And that
brings us right here to today. Because this updated theory isn't just some historical footnote. It is at the absolute heart of some of our biggest, most intense debates about the future of humanity.
And man, the arguments on both sides are really powerful. On one hand, you have people saying this is a vital warning, that we can't just ignore planetary limits forever, and that we have to talk about population and consumption if we want a sustainable future. But on the other hand, you have critics who say this is just the same old Malthusian fallacy, a kind of dystopian panic that once again fails to appreciate our incredible ability to innovate our way out of any problem.
This quote, I think, just nails the modern debate perfectly. Maybe Malthus got the details wrong, the what and the when of the catastrophe. But what if he was right about the basic principle, that the problem was never just about food? It was always about the simple, unavoidable fact that we live on a finite planet. It was about limits.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question for our time, doesn't it? Were the last 200 years just a lucky break, a temporary pass fueled by a one-time blast of fossil fuels and innovation? Is human ingenuity truly a limitless resource that can solve anything we throw at it? Or is a different kind of Malthusian reckoning, not one of famine, but of ecological stability, still waiting for us just over the horizon? That's the shadow of the idea that in many ways we're all living under right now.